Moss is one of nature's quiet survivors. It is a plant, but a very simple one. It has no flowers, no seeds, and its roots are very small. They are called rhizoids, and they simply help the moss to hold on. These ancient plants can be found almost everywhere on Earth. They grow on damp rocks, old walls, and the forest floor. They form soft, green carpets that feel like velvet. For many, moss is just a small green patch. But if you look closely, you will see a world of incredible complexity and resilience, a tiny forest in its own right. It is this hidden world that invites us to look closer. The idea of placing moss inside a sealed glass jar is a fascinating one. It is an experiment in self-sufficiency. Can this simple plant survive and even thrive when cut off from the outside world? It is a way to create a miniature ecosystem, a tiny, living biome that we can hold in our hands. We begin by gathering a small piece of this green carpet, perhaps from a forgotten corner of the garden. We place it on a bed of soil and pebbles inside a clean jar. A little spray of water is added, just enough to make the inside damp. Then we seal the lid and the journey begins. The first few days are a time of quiet settling. Inside its new glass home, the moss must adapt. It is no longer part of the vast forest floor, receiving rain from the sky or breezes through the trees. Now it is contained. The air it has is all the air it will get. The water it has is all the water it will get. It is a bold challenge for such a humble plant. At first, very little appears to change. The green remains vibrant, and droplets of water cling to the glass walls, a sign that the cycle of life has already begun within this enclosed space. Our role now is simply to watch. We place the jar in a spot with indirect light, away from the harsh glare of the direct sun, which could cook the delicate plant. The jar becomes a window into a slow, patient world. It is a world that operates on a different timescale to our own busy lives. Each day, we might glance at it, searching for any sign of change. Is it growing? Is it fading? The anticipation builds. This is not just a plant in a jar. It is a living diorama, a small-scale demonstration of the powerful forces that shape life on our planet, all captured within a simple glass container. As the first week turns into the second, the changes, though small, become noticeable. The most obvious sign of life is the water cycle in action. During the day, as the air inside the jar warms slightly, tiny droplets of water appear on the glass, like a morning mist. This is transpiration. The moss is breathing out water vapor. As the temperature cools in the evening, these droplets grow larger and run down the sides of the jar, returning the water to the soil. It is a perfect miniature rainstorm, providing the moss with the moisture it needs to live. The plant is watering itself. By day 30, the moss itself begins to show signs of new life. If you look very closely, you can see tiny new shoots emerging from the dense green carpet. They are a brighter, more vivid green than the older parts of the plant. This is a sign that the moss is not just surviving, it is actively growing. It has found a balance in its new home. It is using the light that filters through the glass to create its own food through photosynthesis. The air inside, rich with carbon dioxide from the night, is slowly being turned into the oxygen it needs to breathe. Around the midpoint of our 100-day journey, the tiny forest truly begins to feel established. The growth is more pronounced now. What was once a flat patch of moss has started to form small mounds and valleys, creating a miniature landscape. The new shoots reach upwards, competing for the best position to catch the light. The color is a rich, deep emerald. The jar no longer looks like an experiment. It looks like a permanent, self-sustaining world. It is a testament to the incredible adaptability of life, finding a way to flourish even in the most restricted of environments. As we approach day 75, other subtle changes may appear. The soil, once just a brown base, might show signs of life too. Sometimes, tiny white threads of mycelium, the root network of fungi, can be seen spreading through the earth. These are often harmless and are part of the natural process of decomposition, breaking down any organic matter in the soil. The ecosystem is becoming more complex. The moss is the dominant life form, the producer, but it is not entirely alone. It is part of a community of microorganisms, all working together in a silent, unseen dance of life and decay. The sealed jar is much more than just a container for a plant. It has become a closed ecosystem. Every element within it plays a crucial part. The moss is the heart of this system. Through the process of photosynthesis, it uses sunlight to convert carbon dioxide and water into glucose, its food. The waste product of this process is oxygen. Then at night, the moss respires, just like we do. It takes in oxygen and releases carbon dioxide. This perfect balance ensures that the air within the jar is constantly being recycled, providing everything the plant needs to breathe and to grow. The water cycle we observed earlier is the lifeblood of this miniature world. The initial water we added is trapped inside forever. It is drawn up by the moss's rhizoids, travels through the plant, and is then released as vapor into the air through transpiration. This vapor condenses on the cool glass walls, forming droplets that fall back to the soil like rain. This continuous cycle means the moss is never thirsty. It is a self-watering system, a beautiful and efficient demonstration of how water moves through our own planet's atmosphere, just on a much smaller and faster scale. This tiny world is also a world of decay and renewal. If a small part of the moss dies, or if there were tiny bits of leaf litter in the soil, they do not go to waste. Microscopic organisms, like bacteria and fungi, get to work. They are the decomposers. They break down the dead organic material, returning vital nutrients to the soil. These nutrients are then absorbed by the moss, fueling its continued growth. It is a perfect closed-loop system where nothing is wasted. Life, death, and rebirth all happen within the confines of the glass walls, a complete cycle of nature. The air itself tells a story. The balance of gases inside the jar is in constant flux, managed entirely by the living things within it. The moss produces oxygen during the day and carbon dioxide at night. The microorganisms in the soil also respire, adding to the carbon dioxide levels. This delicate equilibrium is what keeps the system stable. The jar is a living lung, breathing in and out over a 24-hour cycle. It is a powerful reminder that the very air we depend on is created and maintained by the collective action of countless plants and living organisms across the globe. Of course, creating a perfect, self-sustaining world is not always simple. There are challenges that can arise in this tiny ecosystem. One of the most common problems is the growth of mold. If there is too much moisture and not enough air circulation, fuzzy white or gray mold can begin to grow on the moss or the soil. This is a sign that the balance has been tipped. The mold competes with the moss for resources and can eventually overwhelm it. It is a stark reminder of the delicate balance required for a healthy ecosystem to function properly. Another potential issue is too much water. It can be tempting to add a lot of water at the beginning, thinking it will last longer. However, this can be disastrous. If the soil becomes waterlogged, the moss's rhizoids can rot, and the plant will be unable to absorb nutrients. You might see a constant, heavy layer of condensation, and the moss might turn brown or slimy. This shows that every part of the system must be in moderation. Too little water, and the plant dries out. Too much, and it drowns. Finding that perfect initial balance is the key to long-term success. After 100 days, our journey comes to an end. We have watched a simple patch of moss in a jar transform into a thriving, independent world. We have learned about the elegant cycles of water, air, and nutrients that sustain life. We have seen firsthand how a living organism can create its own environment, recycling everything it needs to survive. The experiment teaches us about patience, observation, and the remarkable resilience of nature. It shows that even the smallest and simplest of plants are masters of survival, with complex lives that are often hidden from our view. The greatest lesson from our tiny forest is one of connection. The moss jar is a microcosm of our own planet. It demonstrates on a small scale the very same principles that govern life on Earth. The delicate balance of air, water, and life inside the jar is a powerful metaphor for the balance of our global ecosystem. It teaches us that every component is important and that disrupting one part of the system can have consequences for the whole. By watching this small green world for 100 days, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complex and wonderful planet we all call home.